lot of person, they are concerned, and that's the reason why they always ask if I can have children.
Hi guys, welcome to another video. So this is another highly requested video. Most people want to know the story of his sickness, well, Oraine's sickness, that is end-stage renal disease. So he will be talking about that today. So Oraine, what's the story? Let us know what's the story.
I will be bringing you guys along the journey from when it all started to where we're at today. So as you know guys, I have end-stage renal disease, ESRD. Also a lot of other stuff. But where did all that came from? Where did it all start? Let's go. So 2014, I was about 16 years old at the time. I was just finishing up high school, where I went to Clarendon College. I did get all my subjects at Clarendon College, and I did 9 subjects. However, I was having severe abdominal pain from back then, but it didn't progress a lot until after I left Clarendon College, and I would have gone to Thompson High School for 6th form. I did medical and they said everything was okay. Everything was completely fine. But it wasn't fine for me because I was having shortness of breath, I was having tiredness, I was having a lot of symptoms. That was completely new to me because I have never had anything like that. So I went to do medical. Again, they said everything was good, but afterwards I went back based on the fact that I had the swelling and all of that. They now stated that I had an allergic reaction, which I did not. So they prescribed Peritol, which is a allergic reaction medicine, and sent me home with a blood test. After the symptoms progressed even worse and I went back with the blood test result, they then came to the realization that this is way more than an allergic reaction, because stuff in my body like protein, potassium, bone, creatinine, phosphorus, all of those stuff was super high off the charts. So I was then admitted again, I was around 16 years, at the hospital at Chapelton in Clarendon. And when they admitted me, they inserted a urinary catheter inside your genital or my private part. And they were wanting to test the fluid output, like urine output, and the quality of the urine to see if there's any infection or anything. And I would have went to Kingston Public Hospital in an ambulance that same day or the night. And at KPH is where they diagnosed me with end-stage renal disease, and it was chronic because it was at stage 5. I would have moved from stage 1 straight to stage 5 within a matter of weeks. The official diagnosis was rapidly progressive glomerular nephritis, and later on found out that that was caused from a flu that I had, so it would have been based on an infection or bacteria, really. And the kidney was trying really hard to like rid itself of it, but that in itself would have gave me high blood pressure, so that in itself would have caused also or aided in the deterioration of the kidneys. So that was the start of really a lifelong, so far, nightmare in regards to renal failure. Because after admission, I did like my first major surgery. It wasn't really major though, it was a minor operation where they would have put in the peritoneal tube inside my peritoneal cavity, which is my belly. Put in a tube in my belly, and they would flush like this big bag of saline and some other stuff to try to fix or try to reverse the effects of the renal failure. But it was way too advanced and that wasn't working. That caused a lot of issues. Even had an infection where I almost did an open belly surgery to correct. That was like the first week of being admitted.
Before you continue with the story, let us know about your diet as a child. Were you active? Did you smoke? Did you drink? A lot of people always ask that question.
Alright, so my diet as a child was mostly vegetable because I was a poor boy. So I had meats, proteins, with a lot of vegetable, cabbage, collard, and all of those stuff. So my diet was pretty normal as a normal country boy. Active, I was super active. I was one of the most, I played a lot, all sports, football, cricket, everything. So really for me, renal failure is like a spontaneous event. It never happened to anyone on my mother's side, and I don't know if it on my father's side because I don't know their side of family. So renal failure wasn't like inherited from anywhere. It was really me alone it happened to, which is weird, and that's the reason why the knowledge of renal failure, nobody had it. I mean, nobody in my family, it was new to everybody. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't meet in any major accident to really damage my kidneys or anything. It was literally stemmed from a flu that was uncontrolled and it progresses to a case of glomerulonephritis, which is really the alveoli in my kidneys would have gotten really swollen and
It's hard to filter.
it was very hard to filter. So nothing was being filtered and they both failed. So it was end-stage renal disease because it's stage 5, meaning I would need substitutional treatment or a transplant to survive. And we will get to that. We'll get to that later. But so the first no so the first substitutional treatment was actually the first operation that I did was to put in the peritoneal tube inside my peritoneal cavity, which is below my navel. But that wasn't working. It was causing so much pain. I got infected. It was just a mess. So I was still swollen, super swollen. Eyes super red, breath metallic. The toxins was just building up. The fluid was building up. I was drowning. I could not breathe. So they stated that hey, you will need another form of treatment. It's still dialysis, but it's now gonna be instead of peritoneal, it's gonna be hemodialysis. Hemodialysis, dialysis of the blood. And for you to do dialysis of the blood, you need a port or an access, as they call it. Because it's not necessarily a port, being that the access is created, port is inserted, so it's really an access. I had my first access in my subclavian artery, which is in the neck, where they would have made, so that's another surgery. That's now my second procedure as a child at 16. They inserted that catheter in the main vein or the main artery in the neck as it's called a subclavian catheter. You can have it other places like in your jugular or in the femoral vein. So depending on where they put it, it's best to put it up here though, because in the femoral, it's close to your private area. I would not want that. And they have different forms. You have temporary and you also have like a permanent catheter. I don't think it makes a lot of sense for like permanent catheters because there should not be any permanent foreign body inside you. So how can you have something inside you permanently? Plus my catheter experience is one of the worst because they had to suture it towards to your skin, and also bathing, getting it wet or anything usually gets it infected. So I had a lot of pain, a lot of admissions based on the fact that my catheter was infected. It would rip from my skin. It was just a mess. However, it aided in dialysis where I was able to get hemodialysis now frequently, and the symptoms started to regress from renal failure based on the fact that the the dialysis posed as the substitution treatment. So now it acted as my kidney. So it's an artificial kidney. So whatever the kidney was doing, it started to do. So then it would reverse all the the adverse symptoms like the edema, the the fluid retention. But I was still having the fluid retention, but it was taking it down based on the fact that it was pulling it. The toxin, the phosphorus, all of those stuff was going down. So then I would have left KPH, but leaving KPH, I thought that that was gonna be it. Like the treatment was working really well, but then they told me that this is like a long-term treatment. You will need your kidneys every day. So if you don't have it, you'll have to do the substitution treatment. So this is gonna be twice per week, and the cost associated with that would be over $10,000 at the time. I'm like, what? This is crazy. Where, firstly, from a poor family, where am I gonna get that money from weekly? And also, do I have to come here like every week? And you're like, yes. Not here, based on the fact that you would have to get private treatment. So you would find a dialysis center to go to, and you'll go there. But at the time, I was very young, I was very smart, and they saw potential. So the consultant there for the nephrology unit actually got me onto the list at KPH. So that's when I was able to go to KPH now every week, and I've been going there for over 10 years now, every single week, unless I have surgery elsewhere where I will go there. But I've been going there for that time. And so we are doing 2 surgeries, and I'm now back home. I'm now going to school again because I did complete the first year of sixth form with the renal failure, and I did pass the CAVE subjects as well. I was going to school Mondays and Thursdays. I was going to the hospital Mondays and Thursdays, and I was going to school the other days. So I was only going to school 3 days for the week. While going to Kingston, the other 2 days, and mind you, those are the first time I've ever been to Kingston, really, and it was just to go to the hospital. That was an horrible experience as well, because to leave Clarendon, deep rural Clarendon, Beckford Crawl, to be exact, and go to Kingston, it will be super difficult, and then to go back home, there is no bus. It was just crazy. And that's why I had to leave like up Beckford Crawl and live with my aunt in Clarendon, in Maping Clarendon, which is Aunt Carol. Thank you so much. So that made it easier because she lived in beside Mineralites. So then it was easier for me to get taxi after I came back from Kingston, just to go over there instead of taking that trip up to Beckford Crawl. But then I finished sixth form and I was going to Hart. So I went to Hart and I did computer repairs and system administration. And in that time, I had to do another surgery. I did 2 more surgeries, which I created a what is called a fistula, which is an abnormal joining of a vein and an artery. It's in my left hand. That's gonna be the access for dialysis, for hemodialysis. But instead of using the catheter, we're gonna use needles, which is better because there will be no foreign body. Way more painful though, because the 16 gauge needles really tear through your skin every week, 2 times per week. And at the beginning, my veins were really small, so I was having a lot of issues with it coming out of the vein and causing what is called a blow. Persons with renal failure will know what that is, where the fluid will leak right into the vein and cause it to clot or the blood to hemolyze, and it is hard. You have to put like warm water on it just to release the pressure. That was crazy. It was a crazy time, and I was still going to school. The first fistula would have failed. It did not mature where it could be used. So I had to do another. So I had two fistulas on the same arm, and that's where I was doing dialysis for a good while. I would have left Stony Hill Heart Academy, where I did the system administration and computer repairs, and started working at Maxi department stores in Maple again after, because I did pass the courses. And remember, I had renal failure just the same, so I was traveling back from I was working, but then I was able to leave 12 o'clock on a Wednesday to go to Kingston for dialysis, and I did not work on Saturdays. So that's how I balanced that. And I was living in Maple at the time as well, because I would have rented by then at a place called Sharps Avenue, then Margaret Avenue in Maple.
So oh yeah, love. You don't tell me how you feel after treatment. People always ask if it hurt and
So that's another question. So that's why I said it was super rough traversing, because after dialysis I would have been new to dialysis really. So it was a terrible experience in the form that I had bad feeling. Once I remember I had to stop off the bus on the toll. I was vomiting. It was just a mess really, because I think I've gotten used to it now and being able to manage, but at that time I was just a child. I did not know what was going on. And mind you, I was literally alone through all of that. Going from Kingston, you know where the buses are at Darling Street. I would take a coaster coming straight to Clarendon. It was just horrible. But I was able to really I was able to really manage still. I guess I've managed so far.
That's true.
So far. And after I was working at Maxi department, I was thinking that I wasn't getting enough pay, because I'm still an ambitious youth, that I see dreams and aspirations from the beginning that I wanted to accomplish. So I didn't think that renal failure would have allowed it to stop me. So I decided I'm gonna leave Maxi department stores to take on a role at a call center. At the time it was Xerox. That was a good decision based on the increase in pay, but it was horrible in regards to schedule, because at the time Xerox was around Newport West in Kingston, which was around the wharf area. There wasn't any transportation from that area to Kingston, so you'd have to walk the entire journey from Newport West onto Marcus Garvey Drive, where that overhead bridge is, right? I don't know if you know Kingston like that. but right over here, the JUTC, where the depot, the Tara Couriers is, where the planes are, right there. There's a JUTC bus stop right there, and that's where you take bus, or you can take a taxi, like the Greenwich Farm taxis, to Kingston. So I'd be walking from the entire distance from around. Mind you, my blood count at the time, a lot of time, was super low. I could not breathe, but I had to make it. I'll take a bus. I'll go to town, then I'll walk up Princess Street to KPH. I'll do dialysis, and then I'll have to take that same journey back down Princess Street to, mind you, I was living in Maple at the time. A lot of time after dialysis, it would be like 8, almost 9 o'clock in the night. Based on the fact that I have to do a complete day at work, because they did not allow me any time off. It was training. So I would leave like 3 o'clock. By the time I reached it was like almost 4. I had to do 4 hours on the machine, so I'll come off the machine 8 to 9 o'clock. When I reach Darling Street, it will be closed. So I'll have to stand at the police station at Darling Street and wait on a bus that would be carrying the market people to either Spanish Town or Lava, or sometimes you get one straight to Mapin. And when I reach, it'll be like 11 o'clock in the night. I'd have to sleep a short period of time, and I'll have to be back at work on a Thursday because, mind you, I was talking about a Wednesday. I'll be back at work at Thursday, Friday, and then doing the same thing on a Saturday. And I did this for over 2 years until they would have moved from Newport West, changed companies now to Conduent, and start working in Portmore. In Portmore, it was a bit better because I would then leave work and take a bus to um to Kingston until they started giving me like a shift where I had days off on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So that would be easier for me to like not go to work and just go to treatment. Plus Portmore to Kingston was very easy. Mind you, I was living in Mapin at the time, so I had to be going back to Mapin till I started, and to um I moved to Portmore to live. Because I was living in Kingston and I was living in Sandy Bay, and all of this time I had to schedule going to KPH through it all every week. But then I would have started living in Portmore and working in Portmore, going to KPH in Kingston. So that would be easy. But then a lot of other stuff started to happen. Other stuff was started to happen.
Wait, before you start on the other stuff, tell us about the kidney part, the kidney failure, not the kidney failure, I'm sorry, the kidney donor part, because people always ask when you
Okay.
get a transplant, is any of this here, overseas?
Yeah, so that's always a repeated question about kidney. So kidney failure in Jamaica, let's start from treatment. For you to get failure treatment, which is dialysis in Jamaica, the public system is completely full, and the list is way back years. So the only way you get on a machine is if someone die in the public, and they will go back to that last person that was on the list years ago if that person has not died, and then they'll follow up until you can get a space. Or else you'll have to do it privately, which is completely outrageous in regards to its cost. Now 2024, it is over $15,000 per treatment, and you need at least twice per week. Some persons, they don't even get it at all. They only can get it on emergency when they're completely sick, and that quality of life would be not something that you would like to have. However, in regards to transplants, so Jamaica doesn't have a transplant list. However, if you have a donor, they can actually assist you with the process of getting the testing, and if you have the money to pay for it, they will give you initiatives that you can take to go abroad to do the test and to get it done. Again, kidney transplant is over 50,000 US. You will need a donor. For me, my blood type is B negative, which is very rare, and I only have one side of family, which is my mother's side, and she's a lesser gene, meaning we're not a match. And even if we were, she has high blood pressure. My father's side of family, which probably would have been the stronger gene or the matching gene, we are of no relation to him nor his side of family. So that's out of it as well. So to get a kidney transplant now, I would have to go overseas and be placed on a list over there. And hopefully I can get a B negative match in a kidney. So basically, dialysis is again substitution treatment. That's the best that we can do in the interim, guys.
Okay, it's nice.
So renal failure is like a slippery slope. It starts. It's the start of everything, but it usually progresses to other stuff. Other stuff because with renal failure, the kidney is completely absent. So the absence of the kidney will cause other issues based on the fact that toxins are building up and causing other issues where I would have had high blood pressure. That's one. That's a major one. Anemia, which is renal anemia, low blood count. Sometimes it can be high blood count depending, because I do take medicine for all of that. But the density of your bones usually decrease based on the lack of calcium and also the overproduction of parathyroid hormone PTH. That is a major issue, and that's why for many kidney failure patients, they usually advise them to remove their parathyroid glands and go on like artificial calcium. That is not really done frequently in Jamaica. It's practiced mostly in America, where as you get renal failure, they will take it out. In Jamaica, you have to really be adamant to get it out. So for me, it took a while for me to even take it out, which caused other issues as well. So my bone, they would have gotten weak from that, and that's when I had a major accident. It wasn't really an accident. So somebody tried to rob me, and I tried to run, and I would have torn my patella tendon. So my bone did not break, but the muscle that actually allows your knee to be able to be bent, it tore straight off. So that's one of the worst surgeries that I've done because I had to really reconstruct my knee. I spent months on the ward at KPH just to even figure out that that was the problem. After they figured it out and they stated that they were going local because it is safer. But in the moment when they cut me, I felt everything, and they had to switch from local to general, even though they had given me the epidural in my spine, which is a big needle of numbing agent. I still felt everything, and they switched, and I woke up with my knee bandaged. I had to learn again to walk. It was just super painful, but I got over it. I went back to work and I contracted what is called renal pneumonia, where my lungs would have collapsed. I had to go on a ventilator to really get that fixed. That was crazy. Anyways, I got better and I came back. I came back.
Next one, your heart surgery.
And after coming back, I realized that I was having super pain in my belly. And the funny thing about it, I didn't even know that heart issues can cause belly pain. But the pain was so bad that I could not do anything. I was just in pain. After doing a ECG, they realized a bit of irregularities. So they sent me to do an echocardiogram. The first echocardiogram that I did was at KPH, and they saw a lot of irregularities. They saw that there was fibrinous tissue contracting around the heart, which is the pericardium sac. However, they don't have like a cardiothoracic unit. They have cardiologists at KPH, but no full-blown surgical unit for heart surgery. So I was then transferred, because I was admitted, by the way, at KPH, and they would have transferred me to University of the West Indies. That's the first time I've been there, by the way, and it was based on admission. I was sent there through an ambulance, and why I went there was to do what is called a pigtail in the medical community, where they would insert a needle with a large needle into or in and around my sternum to really puncture the sac on the heart to really, or the pericardium, to drain the fluid. And that would be the case where I was diagnosed with pericarditis, which is heart disease. So when the consultant there at UA did the his really his assessment, that's the word. He realized that it was too thick. The fibrinous tissue would have thickened so much that it could not be released through a needle. So they would have to do what is called an evacuation, meaning they would have to go inside my chest and remove it manually. And to do that, they would have to go to the sternum. So that is called a sternotomy. And then they would have removed the pericardium. That's a pericardectomy, by the way. And it was one of those surgeries that it wasn't painful based on their good treatment of pain. But after I woke up, I realized that I had a huge scar from my neck straight down to above my navel, and then two tubes was left inside me. Those were drainage tube that stayed in like 3 days to drain all the excess that was left after they would have, because the removal of the pericardium would cause abrasions on the heart. It was super painful, and again I had to learn to walk again. I would have left KPH, I would have left UA after that surgery. And the funny thing about it, my parathyroidectomy surgery, which is to remove my parathyroid glands, was scheduled the same day. So I had to choose which one, and I had to choose the heart surgery, of course, because that was an emergency. But the parathyroidectomy issues, or the parathyroidism issues, did not actually go anywhere. And it actually progresses also. So persons always wonder about the changes, and the changes would have come after all of that I've told you about. So many persons, they know me from the tumor that was right here, but if you had listened to the story, you'd realize that the tumor came way after everything. After heart surgery, I could not do another surgery so soon, so I had to wait almost a year before I could do any more major surgeries, based on the fact that having renal failure, having heart issues, it'll be impossible to put a person like that to sleep. There's too much comorbidities. So I waited, but in that waiting period, the tumor would have progressed way more, to the point that it made my face irregular. And that's when most persons found out about Oraine, thinking that the tumor was my biggest issue. It wasn't. It was of a visual perspective, and that's how persons grade how sick you are based on how sick you look. But there are sick persons that it doesn't show that are way more ill than the average. So I would have then went to UA after the year, because I could not remove the tumor first, because that wasn't the cause of the tumor. The cause of the tumor was hyperparathyroidism, which is an overactive parathyroid gland causing too much PTH hormone. Hence, it offset the balance of how much calcium is being regulated in my body. So the tumor would have been a localized lesion, meaning it's bone growing where it's not supposed to be. So it wasn't inflammatory, it wasn't pus-like, it wasn't in my skin, it wasn't my abscess. It was literally a bone. But because the bone grew so much, the skin would have stretched over it, so it appear as a swelling. But it's not a swelling, it's just a growth. And that growth can happen where it can deform other areas like your legs and stuff. So it didn't, unfortunately, it occurs in my face. So I had to do one surgery to correct the issue, which was the parathyroidism, and that's why I did a parathyroidectomy, which is this one right here, which they cut my throat, remove the parathyroid glands. After removing the parathyroid glands, I also did a biopsy to test what's on my face. So I did two surgeries, or two procedures: removing the parathyroidectomy, the parathyroid glands, and also a mandible biopsy to test to see if it's cancerous, if it's benign, or what exactly was it. And the diagnosis was actually a brown tumor, and that's again based on too much calcium. Again, I could not do another major surgery so soon. So while the growth had stopped, the deformity was still there. So the next year, I went back to do the surgery, and I had ended up doing two surgeries, which is one, it's an incisional biopsy because the entire mandible, which is my jawbone, wasn't affected, so they only needed to take out the affected area, and that's why I did an incisional and not an excisional to remove the entire mandible. However, I started bleeding back into where they removed the tumor like days after, and it was bleeding so much it clot inside the area, and that is called an hematoma. So I had to go back like 2 days after to really remove the hematoma. So I would have been two major surgeries in the space of 2 days. And trust me, it was completely horrifying to even do one of those surgeries. But I got to it successfully, thankfully. We have to thank the doctors there because they did an amazing job. So then I would have returned back to a bit normal from removing the tumors. So if we should do like a consensus of what happened, or it would have been renal failure, heart disease, but that actually affected other areas like a ruptured bladder, swollen spleen, swollen liver, pleural effusion, which is fluid inside of the lungs. So it's like a multiple organ issues. But that's okay.
People always ask, how do you manage your sickness and your relationship?
Well, I guess only when you're in the relationship you can actually understand. It's hard to really tell people from an outside looking in, because for me it's normal based on the fact that my life has become normal living with, because the sickness doesn't define me. That's the thing. It's like a person who has no limbs, an amputee. Like, if you ask them, they're completely normal because they aren't disabled. They're differently able, so they are completely able in all the other aspects. So for me, I don't see any disability. Like, what am I not able to do? I'm able to do everything as normal.
Most of them still active.
Exactly. I am able to do everything normal. So it doesn't affect my relationship. My relationship is affected by a lot of other stuff, just like normal person's relationship, which is not sickness related. Sickness related it is from a mental perspective, like how do you cope with your sickness. So mentally, I think I would be unstable, really. But I'm able to manage it as best as possible. Yes, I feel as if from a physical perspective, if I wanted to do like be a police officer, I would not be able to. So a lot of stuff that takes a lot of strenuous work, I prefer not to do because I have to protect myself. I would not be jumping off a cliff or doing anything outrageous. But as a normal individual, not everyone wants to jump off a cliff, healthy or not. So again, it doesn't affect me. And also, it doesn't affect me sexually either, because I know you guys are very fast.
Nobody never asked that.
You want to know, it's completely okay. It's completely okay, guys.
Yes, guys. So the kidney is a complete different system
From the reproduction
system.
But yet,
But nobody never really want to ask that.
that you feel them fast. So guys, you see the level of testosterone production in men, it is usually affected by kidney failure. But there are medicines for testosterone. You see, to explain that aspect of it, that persons who wants to know, because I know a lot of person, they are concerned, and that's the reason why they always ask if I can have children, because I don't know if I can have children unless I test the theory. So until then, until we decide, then that's the only way. But sperm production is normal. However, your testosterone levels can be affected by renal failure. And testosterone, being a male hormone, it actually gives you your sexual readiness or your interest, really. So if you have low testosterone, that means your sex drive will be low. If you have high testosterone, it will be high. However, there are testosterone building medicines. Remember, guys, if you have diabetes, if you have any illness, usually you have to take medicine to correct it, right? So if you have low testosterone, you just take medicine for that. I'm not talking about impotence or anything like that. It's just a simple form of simple form. I try to explain it the simplest, because I'm trying to explain it simply, and I don't want it to
Not be stressed at all. Just say you do not suffer from erectile
dysfunction. Look at that, them man, guys. I don't suffer from erectile dysfunction.
And guys, honestly,
nor a low sex drive.
We don't know how fertile we are
until
because we didn't go and test it out. We didn't test the waters, and we didn't do any medical checks. But when we are ready, we will do the needful.
And we'll find out.
I remember, guys, you don't have to do intercourse to have a baby these days. There are different ways to have a baby. So if any issues arrive, that can be fixed with science. Guys, I honestly don't know. But anyway,
a brief synopsis of everything that's happening to me or has happened to me. And I will be doing specific videos on specific issues, because all of these stuff that I've talked about, they can be done in a whole video by itself.
That's if you want to hear.
That's if you want to hear, because I have not really dived into like each aspect. Yes. I really gave you a quick rundown of everything.
Yes, so it's really to clear up the confusion.
Exactly, so we're not confused. Video.
So we're just trying to clear that up. Hope this provides some clarity on what's the story. But before you end the video, what advice do you give to young
persons with renal failure?
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, you see, renal failure, I have came to the realization from my many years with renal failure, and also being around persons with renal failure, that the knowledge, and not only of renal failure but of sickness, is not very is not a lot, like the simplest form. So people, they will get medicine and they don't know what they're for. The doctor say they should take it, so they take it. They're doing procedures, they don't know what the procedures is, but they're just going through it. Guys, my advice is take some time to research, to read, and familiarize yourself with everything related and associated with your condition. So you will have a great understanding, and you will have a grasp at everything that's being done, and you'll be better able to manage your illness. Stop acting like you're completely normal and nothing affects you, because it's a new normal and you have to act as if you are different. Not saying that you should be ostracized from society, but you need to change your diet, change your lifestyle, and get educated about all the issues that are affecting you and that can affect you.
And that improves the quality of life.
And that improves your quality of life tremendously, because it's not about staying alive, it's the quality of life that you're living. Because yes, you can be alive, but you're lying bedridden, fluid overload, all your vitamins, minerals are out of sync, you barely can breathe, and you literally is on the verge of going. And because you're alive, you think that's all. No, guys, you have to try to live as best and as normal as life as possible. And with that, you have to be educated on your illness. Take the time out, ask somebody, reach out to persons, get the information, get the experience from other people, and you will live a better and a more normal life. Take it from me.
And people usually ask if we know you before the sickness. So, like the kidney failure, we met when he had kidney failure.
I had kidney failure from I was 16.
Exactly. And what? Where did we meet you? We meet when I'm out, what, 22?
Yep.
Yeah. And I was 19. Everything else came after. So like his heart surgery, I was there for that. His knee surgery.
Exactly.
Everything else I was there, but the whole time he had kidney failure. Still have kidney failure.
Exactly. And that's why I say kidney failure is a slippery slope.
Yes.
It will start with kidney failure, but you may develop other illnesses.
Yes, so people normally question that part because they think we're going after a shock value relationship. Guys, we were together before everything, like the tumor.
And we were together before social media. Exactly. So it cannot be shock value as if we came on social media as a couple. We were a couple before, so we tried social media based on the realization of everybody else. It wasn't a curated story for the public.
Yes, guys.
Right? And we don't need to validate our relationship by kissing on the media or doing any OF stuff just to prove that we're in a relationship. It's not for you to believe, it's for us to believe. If we believe that we are in a relationship, we are in love, then that's enough. That suffices the situation. Whether you believe it or not, it's completely up to you.
Yes, guys, so we just want to share the relationship like everybody
There
else.
we go. And also the story of who is Oraine Simpson. Now you guys know. Again, I'll be answering all the questions that you need individually in future videos to come. For this, you can pause the video, you can ascertain more information on all the stuff that I've spoken on, and then when we do follow-up videos, you'll be way more educated on all the issues and get a deeper dive on what they are, what the effects are, what you're supposed to look out for.
Yes, guys, so now that you know us a bit better, we will be giving you some fun videos going forward. And guys, you can also make suggestions in the comment section. Guys, we respond to everyone, so don't be afraid to comment on the video.
Thank you so much for 6,000 followers.
Yes,
we're on the road to 10,000. It's January, guys. We can do it. Are not subscribing, you're watching the videos and you're not, guys, please just click the
and you're returning, guys, like you're returning to watch every one of our videos,
but you're not subscribing. I don't know why.
Guys,
hit the subscribe button,
subscribe,
like, share, comment, watch the ads, let us get paid.
Yes, that's important, guys. Watch the ads.
Anyways, I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day. Drink a lot of water and mind your business. 'Cause I think I might do anything for you.